What is going on, Ravens flock, and welcome back here again to another episode of the Ravens Way podcast. Joining me, as always, is Voss, and joining me also tonight, Huddle Up Films, Jason. Fellas, how we doing?
Hey, doing well, doing well. I guess I get to speak first as the special guest tonight, but it's a pleasure to join you guys, man. Catch up in the off season. I've been thinking about from time to time the draft that we did together with Dev and Nikhil and Jordan and Gabe, and you guys helping hold it down. And what a good time that was, man. So it's my pleasure to be on talk with you guys again. We haven't done anything since then, so doing great. How about you, Voss? All
I'm
good?
doing, I'm doing good, man. We're in the dog days of summer. I'm working on a new business venture, getting ready to open up a restaurant soon. So working hard, been hot, tired, but how about 2 out of 3? The O's gave the Yankees a little spanky today. Love to see that. Sneak preview: the Ravens news article coming out tomorrow is called "Bird Game" is the title because one of the prognosticators that I link to said that the Orioles may have to reschedule their game against the Broncos if the Orioles are hosting. Sorry, the Ravens may have to reschedule if the Orioles are hosting the World Series parade that day. But I'm doing great. It's great to catch up with you guys. It's all love. Yuri, I know you've been busy. You got a lot of big things working, and we wanted to get this together one more time before your schedule changes for good, or at least significantly. So I am all good. Really good to be with both of you.
Yeah,
Yeah,
absolutely. I'm glad to have both you guys on. Wouldn't want it any other way. And we're very excited looking the off season. And I will say, Jason, the only thing I wish is that during the draft that we had a day 3 stream just for the fourth round, because I most vulgar scream I've ever let out. It would have been a funny draft stream moment.
yeah. I think it probably worked out for the best because we probably would pick somebody different. I like to think that our superstitions control things. So no, yeah, I was really happy for you. I know that the other guys, everybody, a lot of people were happy that we got your guy, and we were thinking, we were tossing around the idea of picking him with our third round pick.
Yes, sir.
I would have been cool with it, and
We were on
get
Ken's.
them in the fourth round.
Yeah, I said the same exact thing when we were on Ken's live stream, I believe, when the third round pick came on the clock, and 2 of the 3 guys that wanted the Ravens ended up getting in the fourth round. So doesn't get much better than that.
Absolutely. So, Boss, training camp storylines.
Let's tee it up here. We're gonna get into some trading camp storylines. It's a good looking Ravens roster, I believe. A top 5, maybe if you're a little bit pessimistic on certain players, a top 8 roster in the league. But that's the championship zone, the bounce of the ball. But there are quite a few battles, and I think the main thing on everybody's mind is how is this offensive line going to shake out? You want to have continuity. You want to get those 5 fingers into one glove and solidified as soon as possible. We don't want to be platooning guys into September, October. So that's really the big storyline for me. What is Josh Jones going to? Where does he fit? Is he going to outplay one of the younger guys? Is Ben Cleveland going to fulfill that promise that I believe he has? Roger Rosengarten, I believe the second double R in Ravens team history. Could be wrong on that. Versus Falile, who's looking a little sluggish at minicamp and at OTAs. And Voorhees is potentially the big X factor. Potentially the guy that can make a mediocre unit good and make a good unit great. But that's a lot of projection there too. So I think that's got to be the number one training camp storyline. Offensive line, Yuri, Jason, I feel like you guys probably both agree with that one.
I do. I think one of my biggest takeaways is I try to really listen to the press conferences and what the coaches are saying more than the players. And one thing I found fascinating was Harbaugh said he wanted to have that offensive line set by the second week of training camp. Joe D came on a week or two later and said it's a tall task, but if that's what Coach Harbaugh wants, that's what we'll get. So I got the sense from that Joe D thinks that the competition is very much open. Like he didn't say, "Oh yeah, well, agree with John Harbaugh. 2 weeks we can get that done. That's no problem." He kind of looked at it as a tall task, and I'm glad Josh Jones is on this roster, Yuri. I'm glad Josh Jones is on this roster because it seems like just so much uncertainty to have a nice veteran on there really makes a difference.
Yeah, I would agree with that. You look back at what he's done in his career, and it seems like he's been a lot better of a pass protector than a run blocker. And I'm in the belief that in order to have somewhat a cohesive offensive line, you need 3 out of the 5 starters to be at least above average. And then, preferably your guards or where you fill in, where, you have guys like Josh Jones who can probably step in, give you some good reps, but you're not going to rely on him, kind of platooning him and whoever throughout October and November and once you get into the season. So there are certain places where I'm cautiously optimistic. Boss, you pointed out that Falele was out there struggling. That doesn't surprise me. I've been on the train for a while that he needs to lose a lot of weight in a very short amount of time. I just don't think he fits the system that Monken's going to want to run, and they're going to put him out there on an island, and the speed rusher is just going to hammer at him. So, looking at it now, Rosengarten is probably my personal favorite who I want to play that position because you look at the pass protection chops in college, and obviously he didn't let up a sack in 3 years or 2 years, whatever it was. I don't remember what the statistic was. It's been so long. But that's the guy I want out there protecting Lamar Jackson, especially because he protected Penix's blind side because Penix is left-handed. So outside of that, hopefully if Voorhees is not healthy, Jones can step in and start, and hopefully Cleveland can also make a big leap. But I think the biggest thing to me is Ronnie Stanley's health. A really good left tackle and even above average left tackle can do so much for your offense and open up so many things. So that's really my biggest concern at the moment. I think the guards, with Lamar, you can probably get away with a little bit, but I think tackles, that's really the important thing to me.
Well, I want to go back on this, just position by position. Linderbaum, fine. He's going to be good. One of the better centers in the league. I was really impressed with Ronnie Stanley and his mindset and taking that what a lot of people don't realize was pretty much a pay cut, was pretty much I dare you, staring down the tracks of, hey, buddy, we might have to release you unless you take this kind of pay cut. But the confidence that Ronnie showed as far as, I don't know, he was just really believable. He seemed really genuine and believable. It wasn't just like your cookie cutter answers, your press man, I feel like I'm in the best shape of my life. Oh, I'm planning to show out this year. Like I really felt some genuine confidence from Ronnie Stanley. At left guard, I'm kind of the opinion here that this is maybe the least important position in football aside from, some defensive positions that you might look at. Look at Bradley Bozeman.
Yeah, besides 1.5 down nose tackle.
Right, there you go. So look at Ben Powers. Look at Bradley Bozeman. Can't get a starting job in Carolina after he leaves here. Anybody that we put there, John Simpson just got paid $9 million a year, I think, for the Jets. I feel like as long as you really are an average player, you're going to be fine at left guard. Right guard, Ben Cleveland. I knew there were reports that he did not look good. He got a stock down from Jeff Zrebeck. I don't worry about it too much because I think that Ben Cleveland has been in worse shape than he is right now before and still played pretty well on tape. And then right tackle, Roger Rosengarten. We could talk about run game scheme fits, and I think sometimes that stuff can be overblown. But as far as a pass protector, he has got to be a superior pass protector to Falele. And his feet are so quick that even if he gets bull rushed a little bit and struggles with that in his first year, Lamar Jackson sees that. That's right in your line of vision. This isn't your left tackle. So I feel pretty confident along the way. I think really the key to this thing is this can be a really good offensive line if, in fact, Ronnie Stanley is back to most where he was before he got hurt. And I've been down on this, and people be like, "Oh, he's coming back." I've never felt comfortable. I feel like I'm a little more confident. Like he's almost got me. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
If I see some action in the preseason or something like that, where I can finally believe in Ronnie again. And I mean, man, it's been 4 years, so it's kind of a tough task.
No, I'm right there with you, Jason. I think it's very well said. Ronnie's got me. He's got me on the hook. He hasn't reeled me quite in to the shore yet, but I'm with you there. To me, it's really going to come down to Voorhees. I think PFF did a offensive. I do this daily links thing with Baltimore Beatdown every day, so I'm exposed to all this kind of stuff. And I think they said the Ravens had the third best pass blocking offensive line last year, and they still wanted to retool. Like that probably should. That probably says a lot about Lamar Jackson's impact on the offensive line more than anything to me. But it should be an interesting competition. Interesting that we all kicked it around a couple times and nobody mentioned Patrick McCarry's name. I have a bold prediction about him. When we get to our final segment, we're going to try to do a little bold prediction per position group. But let's transition to our second topic, if you gentlemen are ready. For our second training camp storyline, to me, that is the defensive back shuffle. They got a lot of intriguing talent in the defensive backfield this year, but it's really going to be really interesting to me to see how the pieces fit together, especially in the slot. So you have Marlon Humphrey, who had arguably his best season that he's had as a pro, made an all-pro team. When he was playing primarily in the slot, forced 8 forced fumbles that one season. You also have Kyle Hamilton coming off a All-Pro bid. He was All-Pro, right? Second team, I think.
I want to say he was first, but maybe that went to
either way,
right?
We got national pundits saying he's a top 3 overall defender in the NFL on podcast this season, but he was. I don't know what percentage, but a large percentage was in the slot. You got Arthur Millette, who Yuri knows is the top dog. He might be like the mascot of our Ravensway pod here. You got Pepe too, and it's like, how do these guys fit in? And then if you're going to bring Hamilton down so he can, be a little bit more of a difference maker, make more of an impact, who's on the back end? They're cross-training Trey Swilling, who was a UDFA corner or a journeyman corner, actually. And they also have, could TJ Tampa get some run as a safety, coming out of a zone-based system at Iowa State, who also has the size and physicality probably to play safety. And also, let's not forget Brandon Stevens, who came into the NFL. His first go was at safety, more of an overhang linebacker, but overall safety. It'd be kind of dirty for the Ravens to stick him back at safety in a contract year, but sometimes you want to put your best, 5, 6, even 7 DBs on the field, and how's that going to shake out? So to me, that's a very interesting storyline. Or would they tap into the free agent safety marquee, which still has several marquee names on it? Eddie Jackson's a guy I've liked for a long time. But that, to me, is the second storyline to monitor.
Yeah.
Jason?
Voss, just to piggyback, I think it's going to be a challenge for them, but a fun challenge to find their best 5, 6 guys to put in there, because that's ideally what you want, almost like the offensive line. With all the zone coverages and the way coverage has changed over the years, that it's really not as much about man-to-man matchups. A lot of these positions blur together. Your slot corner is going to do a ton of what your strong safety does. They do basically the same thing. It's just, are you manned up over a tight end, or lined up over a tight end coming in your zone, or is it a slot receiver coming in your zone? So different body types, but the same type of responsibilities. I have these opinions, though. I would say my hesitation with putting Marlon in the slot is that he's coming off of, injuries, trying to stay healthy. He's getting older. that is a very physical position. You're going to have to do a ton of tackling, a ton of taking on blocks. So, I'm not sure that's the best way to keep Marlon healthy and effective. Kind of the same thing with Brandon Stevens, but not from a health standpoint. Just the fact that in the games he's played, when he is at right cornerback specifically, he's been really, really good. Even as compared to when he played left corner or slot corner, right cornerback seems to be his spot. So I don't really want to mess with Brandon Stevens. I don't like the idea of Ardarius Washington playing any kind of deep half or deep third, being that he's 5'9". So there's a lot of things into play here. I think Nate Wiggins is going to play a good amount starting pretty early in the season. It's a long season. You rotate. I mean, if you just have 3 outside corners in Marlon, Brandon, and Nate Wiggins, you want to give them all 2/3 of a game, give them each 66%, let them sub in for each other. That sounds good to me. And then with Kyle Hamilton, I'm really proud of my channel for some of the highlights I do. And Kyle Hamilton's was one of my favorites I've done over the last 4 years this year. And most of his impactful plays are him in the slot. He makes them from strong safety too. Don't sleep on his ability as a strong safety. But in the slot, wreaking havoc in the backfield, just dismissing dudes, blitzing, being able to press the line of scrimmage and then drop and cover deep half. It's a rare skill not a lot of people have. So I think the Ravens are going to have to figure that out. TJ Tampa could probably play some strong safety. I would agree. I think ultimately, though, Yuri, they bring in a vet, somebody that they think complements what else they have there.
Yeah, I would agree. I think it would be ill-advised for them to not bring in a veteran safety, even if it's just a Darryl Worley to hold a spot, someone that that can come in and step in and play safety. But I think along the lines of Diggs and Justin Simmons and all the names that are out there, I think would be a wise move to bring in another safety. I think in order to play split safety this year and be able to use Hamilton like they did last year, they need 2 safeties when you're in quarters and when you're in cover 2 to be able to hold on the back end. And right now we have 1, in my opinion. I mean, you could put Hamilton on the back end as well, but you're not really getting, like you made the point of, you're not getting that really innate value that he brought last year in the slot. I was looking at the other day, and he took about 457 snaps in the slot, 270 at safety, and about a couple, right outside linebacker, a bunch of crazy stuff in the box.
Mm-hmm.
And so you want to be able to use him like you did last year. And obviously, sure, maybe you could put TJ Tampa with his own instincts, put him at strong safety, maybe try him at split safety a little bit. Some of the other guys you guys, Ardarius, I do not want playing anywhere on the back third. I think that would be a very bad idea. I feel like, and me and Voss have made this point before, that the guys like Jamar Chase and George Pickens, and they would have their day with him. They would certainly. We
do not want a 5'9", 170-pound guy who runs a slow 40 to be the last line of defense. I completely agree with that. So that's a big question to me. If you had to say what is the one roster hole the Ravens still have? I would say it's a safety 3 that can fulfill the Geno Stone role. But there's still guys out there. So maybe DeCosta's playing the long game here. I'll give him the benefit of the doubt. I think they have a lot of talent. It's just going to be interesting to see how the pieces are juggling. And I'll go on to my third storyline for training camp. It's a personal one. There's been so much talk of 12 personnel. It's proliferated the local media and the national media. And everybody's like, they got 2 good receiving tight ends. And they had Derrick Henry. Just run 12 personnel. And, we've dug into this. And we actually asked Dan Rees in one of our little chats to run some numbers. And he ran numbers. And teams pass better out of 12 personnel when they're trailing than teams pass out of 11 personnel. But is that because they have a blocking tight end and they have 3 really good receivers? Again, PFF 23rd best receiving core in the league. So to me, the third storyline is, how is Todd Monken going to integrate these tight ends, and I think they're going to run a lot of 12 this year. I think everybody knows that. But is it going to be effective when they're chasing points? And they don't chase points very often, but once in a while they do. And more often than not, in the playoffs they do. And are they still going to be able to spread the field, threaten every blade of grass, which is what Todd Monken promised when he became the OC? That's what I'm interested to see. We're not going to see Mark Andrews in the preseason, probably. We're not going to see much of Isaiah Likely, but we will see some route combinations and do the tight ends, run some curls, and then all three receivers or both receivers are going deep. How are they going to play that? To me, that's very interesting. And we'll circle back to this a little bit when we get to our next segment. But to me, that is probably the third most important storyline. I want to see deep passing efficiency out of 12 personnel to really buy into this offense. And we'll see how the preseason goes.
Real quick before Jason goes, I am 95% sure that deep touchdown to Zay Flowers was out of 12 personnel and against the Chiefs. I vaguely remember it, but I remember there being extra bodies on the line of scrimmage.
I mean, I would just like to say that I feel like most people would agree with me. You're not going to get every element out of this alignment, but if I had to line up my four best pass catchers right now, two of them are tight ends. Is Zay Flowers and Bateman at wide receiver, and then Andrews and Likely. So as far as our best pass attack goes, if you want to spread it out, go four wide receivers. Two of those wide receivers to me are going to be tight ends. Now I'll say that with the caveat of maybe you need to stretch the field. So yeah, you're going to want to get Aguilar in there, Devontae Walker in there, and give different looks. But in all, I don't think that playing two tight ends inhibits our pass game. I think that's actually our four most talented pass catchers. It is in 12 personnel. Plus, you can scrunch those guys in line and give you some extra blockers, or you can run out a spread 12 formation. I mean, it's going to be a headache because the Ravens bring in those two tight ends, and Andrews and Likely. What is their defense going to look like? If you're a defensive coordinator, what do you do? Do you play an extra safety? Do you play an extra linebacker? You're going to take a runner. Do you play a cornerback because Likely deserves that kind of attention? Your safety might not be able to stick with them. So it brings a really a conundrum for opposing defenses, especially when they don't have like the defensive depth in the secondary a team like the Ravens have. They only have so many weapons. There's going to be somebody that they can expose. So I'm really excited about the possibility of running out of 12. I think it can be an explosive offense.
Let me just jump in real quick, Yuri, and just rhetorically, Jason, because I don't have a
say it again.
Rhetorically, because I don't have a dog in this race. I'm open-minded. But I'm kind of like Missouri. Show me when show it to me, because we've seen Greg Roman, who's a tight end guru, who was a tight end coach of the Ravens before he took over as OC, and there was only one game when Hayden Hurst or Isaiah Likely overlapped with Mark Andrews with more than 40 yards or 4 catches in the same game. And I think the route trees are redundant, the skill sets are redundant. And I'm not saying it can't work, but I think it needs a lot of get in a lab and do some engineering to figure out how to make it work. Because, as I said, the route trees are a little bit redundant and the skill sets are redundant. So I just want to make that point.
And I agree with that. And then, that's going to be something that I'm going to be watching for the first few weeks of the season, first month of the season. Preseason is going to tell us, but he has got to find a way to get the ball in Andrews and Likely's hands in the same game. Like that, every team is different.
You just don't want to condense the field, right? So if you're a smash off running team that throws to the middle of the field at tight ends, you're giving the defense an advantage where they're not worried about the deep third brown outside the hash.
I would just say that all defenses are different, and there are going to be some defenses that are pretty good against the tight end. They have those safety types, or maybe they're just really disciplined in their zone, and that's not the way that you're going to beat them. But there are other teams that are terrible against the tight end, You know, in those type of matchups, they might not have one guy that can stick with Andrews or Likely. You put them back out on the other side of the field, or maybe they're not good, disciplined in zone. They got to play a lot of man. Then you're creating a ton of problems trying to man up with Andrews and Likely. So, like I was my caveat. There are going to be times where our best lineup out of passing, what's going on, Anthony, is going to be with a speed guy on the field like Aguilar or Tez Walker. But I would just say overall average. I love the idea of seeing in the first quarter, especially, how that defense is going to match up with two tight ends. And if they go light, you hand the ball to Derrick Henry and you just run it down their throat, whether those tight ends are spread or whether both of them are in line. And if they go heavy and they bring in, they have two linebackers, one of them probably can't cover, if not both. Man, the middle of the field's open. Like I love that as a information gathering type method in the first quarter, first half.
Real quick, Harry, my concern is against those teams that do have the good safeties, those safeties who can match up with Mark or Isaiah or both, and that's the teams that are giving them trouble. I'm just raising that point. Yuri, chime in on this because I feel like this is a right in the wheelhouse, and I'm gonna.
Yeah, I was gonna say that I think a lot of the times with the tight end group, everyone says that we want to get both Likely and Andrews involved, but I don't think they can be on the field at the same time. In my opinion, I don't think that's a very effective way of getting them both involved because obviously there's only one or the other is going to get the ball if it's thrown to the tight end. So I think, I promise, I am not biased. I think it's going to be very important in development with Charlie Kolar being able to stick at a wide tight end and be able to block and hold down when the Ravens go into play action and when the Ravens are running two tight end sets. Because as the point that Boss made, Likely and Andrews are redundant in terms of route tree. Kolar's route tree is completely different from those two. He runs a very different zone sitting type of route tree where those two are you beat the other guy athletically. And that's not to say Kolar is a bad athlete because if you look at RAS, Kolar tested better than Likely at the combine. But the point is that in order for the Ravens to really get those two tight ends involved, they can't run them both on the field at the same time because Lamar obviously has a gravitation towards both of them. So I mean, it's what I mean. Like it's almost redundant to have them both on the field at the same time. So I think it's going to be.
I feel like they can. Hold on, I'm going to interrupt you, but I feel like they can. They got to get very creative with the route combinations. That's all. That's my point that I'm trying to make. That's all. I think they can, but it's got to be like something that the league has not seen before to really get both of those guys cranking at the same time.
Yeah, it would be like basically you'd have to almost eliminate most of the route freedom that they have, unless you want to have a control. Kind of like how linebacker, you have one guy control, the other one's kind of go seek him, get him type of guy. Maybe that kind of thing where one of the tight ends, you run your route and the other one has freedom. That could be an idea. But I still think, real quick, Jason, I still think it's very important that in order for 12 personnel, in my opinion, to get leaps and bounds in the pass game, it's going to be important for because you can't release both tight ends every time because it's going to become a tell. So when you have a tight end that stays in line and blocks, it's going to be very important for that guy who stays in lines to block to be able to really hold it down. Obviously, we've seen Mark Andrews in the past be able to block. Likely has grown as a blocker, but obviously Harbaugh talked about it the other day that Kolar came into camp looking lean and looking good, looking ready to go. So I think that's gonna be very important.
Yeah, Voss, I just like the only thing I'll push back in. Maybe it's like we have different varying opinions on the trust factor of the route trees that these guys can run, but like Likely to me can stretch the seam easily, very well. So if you want to clear out space and send him up the middle, you can do that. And then I have confidence in Bateman's route tree and Zay's route tree to where either one of those guys can be sent in different areas of the field. So like admittedly, two tight ends, there's a receiver on the field that's going to bring you something completely different than Mark or Likely. But overall, I don't think it limits us too much. And I think that a lot of teams will have a problem handling that. And it'll be interesting to see how they disperse them. I'm really hoping that Tez Walker blows up and has a great preseason, because that would really, like, we know what Nelson gives us. We know what everybody else gives us. I want to see what the new guy can bring to this offense. And if he just worries the defense, that'll be enough to open up things for other guys.
Yeah, absolutely. I think the 12 personnel package can be very effective in regular season. The only time I'm apprehensive is when they're playing catch up in the postseason, if and when they are. And chances are, when they're playing the best teams in the league for 3 or 4 consecutive games, you're going to have to play catch up. The Ravens were playing catch up in both and managed to pull it off both times they won the Super Bowl. And that's where I'm coming from. But I think they can do it. I just think they got to get creative with it.
Fun discussion. That's a really good one. Yeah.
So those are my 3 training camp storylines. You guys want to throw a storyline out before we transition to our final segment, or are you ready to go? Move on.
I'm pretty good. I just would like to say that, I feel like Trenton Simpson is going to be more than fine next to Roquan. I think he's going to make his mistakes, but I don't think he's going to frustrate us any more than Patrick Queen did. And he's going to
save for the positional predictions.
Yeah, I like. I'm a fan of Trenton Simpson, and Absolutely. I feel like anybody that you put next to Roquan is going to play better because of Roquan. So yeah, that'd be the reports of him flying around, be feeling more comfortable. Him, of course, having a better grasp of the playbook, him talking directly about feeling more disciplined in his own game. All that, it's only training camp. There's no pads, but I liked what I heard, and just furthered my belief that he's going to have a good year.
100%. I'm all in on Trenton Simpson right now.
The last storyline that I would add is probably running back competition. If someone wants to probably jump Justice Hill as RB2, the only thing I'll throw out there is obviously Derrick Henry is a very big dude, and we've seen that he's very effective in the screen game. And I wonder if the Ravens have a lot of faith in Ali, who had a lot of fumbles in college. I would not be opposed if it looks like the Broncos are going to cut Javonte Williams. I would not mind the Ravens kicking a 7th round pick just to get him, because I have a lot of confidence in his receiving ability, and I have a lot of confidence in his pass protection. And there was a nice chart out earlier by Carter Donich on Twitter, and he showed Javonte Williams was in the same graph in James Cook in yards per route run as a running back out of the backfield. So I would not be opposed to that.
What was his issue in Denver? He was injuries.
He lost a little bit of juice because he had ACL injuries. So he was getting 20 carries a game, and he's only going for like 70, 80, 90 yards.
Yeah, as a guy that rostered him on several fantasy teams, I'd say the injuries were probably the issue with him.
Okay.
Good stuff, guys. I definitely am with Simpson, and I'm definitely on board with a running back upgrade for sure. Shall we move on to our?
Boss loves his the value positions, doesn't he?
No, I don't. I mean, I said for cheap, but it's for a 7th round pick. I'll take a running back. But shall we move on to our position by position bold predictions? We ready for that?
Ooh, okay, yeah. I love it. For the record, I haven't been prepped on any of this. This is straight off the dome.
Off the dome. That's how we like you. Yeah. That's how we like you, Jason. Off the dome.
The dome is important. You have to have good dome.
Hey. That's what you're anyway. All right. I'll cue us up. And you guys can play off of that since you're maybe not as prepped as I am. At quarterback, I think Lamar Jackson will post 40 total touchdowns between passing, and rushing this coming season. For reference, it was 29 last year. Thoughts?
Jason?
No, he's not going to. No. I think Derrick Henry having 15 is more likely than that. That would be what I think. I don't think we're going to get too fancy in the red zone. Gus had 12, 13 last year. Yeah. Mark me down for the same kind of strategy. Now I did peep the Monken comments somewhere around there. A month ago, some kind of conversation was leaked saying, and you guys can help clarify this, but we need to get more creative in the red zone. That conversation was had. I saw that somewhere. I apologize for not having where it came from to back it up. But there's a chance that they might get away from that and try to evolve and be more creative. But I think when you have Derrick Henry, I think he's a double-digit touchdown lock, and that'll take away from the touchdowns of Lamar.
So where I'm coming from is I think there's going to be more chunk plays and less red zone opportunities because there's going to be more 30, 40-yard touchdowns. Lamar hit 34 passing touchdowns in 2019, I believe.
36, yeah.
So I'm expecting more chunk plays. And I also think a lean down Lamar will make more chunk plays with his legs. He'll also evade more pressure and keep the play alive for 8 seconds and hit a 40-yard bomb to somebody. That's where I'm coming from. Bold prediction. That's all.
Like it.
Jason, do you have a bold prediction?
Why don't you go
around the horn?
Why don't you go ahead? I'll think of mine a little bit.
Mine's a little less exciting. Mine's going to be that Devin Leary wins the quarterback 2 competition after preseason is done. That's going to be mine. I think that he's very much a gunslinger in terms of how aggressive he is with the football and turnovers, but I think the arm talent is probably going to exceed. And also, you have to think about the quarterback 3 game day free roster spot. Are you going to risk putting him on the game day QB3 where a team can poach him off the practice squad, or are you going to keep him on the roster and let him be QB2? So those are my thoughts. A little less powerful than Voss's.
Yeah, I guess my bold prediction would be the Ravens haven't had a 1,000-yard rusher in the Lamar era, aside from Lamar, of course. I'm going to say Derrick Henry clears that, and he does it maybe before the month of December. I think he'll have a 1,300 type yard season. So yeah, that would be Derrick Henry smashing the over on 1,000 rushing yards, smashing the over on 10 touchdowns, I believe it is, 10 and a half. I think he clears both of those, and I think when it's money time, cash time, and then he'll just be more of a workhorse than we've ever seen by one guy. I think JK would have been that guy last year, by the way. I think if JK was healthy, he would have been the clear one running back, but we just didn't have him. And I think Derrick Henry's got that kind of versatility to be able to run any run in the book, and we'll get our money's worth out of him for sure.
Good segue into my running back bold prediction. I think Derrick Henry will definitely be the lead back. Definitely take a lion's share. They didn't pay him that money to, not utilize him. But I think Justice Hill will have a higher yards per carry average than Derrick Henry next year. For the record, last year Hill was at 4.6, Henry was at 4.2. Obviously, the Ravens' offensive line was a lot better, but I do think that Justice Hill may be the most underrated, unappreciated Raven on the current roster. So that's my bold prediction for the running back group.
So, Voss, I must have messed it up. We're going position by position bold prediction.
Yeah, we are. But that was
okay.
It was like, honestly,
right.
You could not have made a better segue if you didn't know.
I will not.
If you did know.
I got it now.
That was like
good.
Perfect, dude. That was literally
bold
perfect.
prediction time. Part 2 would be, and it's a bold one. I'm not sure this will happen. I'm going to throw it out there.
Bold, baby.
By midseason, Justice Hill will not be the third down back. It will be Rasheen Ali for his pass protection, catching out of the backfield, and that kind of role minimizes your chances to fumble. So the Ravens have the ball, minute and a half left, 2 timeouts before the half from their own 25. It is Rasheen Ali on the field for the Ravens.
Yeah, you took mine. You took
was
mine.
It?
I was going to say that Justice Hill was going to overtake. Ali was going to overtake most of Justice Hill's snaps by midseason.
All right. Shall we go to tight ends?
Yeah, tight ends.
We ready? So, my bold prediction for tight ends. Mark Andrews and Isaiah Likely will post 50-plus receiving yards in the same game less than 3 times in the regular season. That's my prediction. It's just tough to scheme up 2 tight ends at the same time. It's really tough. So that's where I'm coming from with that one.
All right, mine's going to play off of yours then. I'll say it happens 5 times or more.
Mine is that Charlie Kolar will sneakily usurp snaps from Isaiah Likely. I would say about 45% of likely snaps will probably go to Kolar because of the alignment issues I mentioned earlier.
Could have come out of Ricard's as well, Yuri.
Yes, I would also think that as well. I think he's going to be if we're talking in terms of just like thinking about snap percentages. Mark Andrews' best year, he took what? He was like 66% snaps a game. In 2021, wasn't he like 66 or like he was like around 60? He wasn't on the field all the time.
I don't remember exactly, but yeah, that sounds about right. 60 and 70, yeah.
Yeah, so I think when it's going to come down to it is just the blocking snaps are probably going to get delegated to him. Not to mention Ricard's cap hit is also high. I don't know if he took a pay cut. I don't remember. The Ravens offseason.
No, he didn't. He didn't take a pay cut.
So I could see a way where the improvements of 88 gets him to get on the field a lot more. And especially, Harbaugh loves the special teams.
Yeah, I like that one for sure. Right. Let's go to O-line. And I think Patrick McCary will start 14-plus games in the regular season across 3 different positions. That's my bold prediction for the O-line. Because I think he's going to be the super utility man, little left tackle, little right tackle, little guard, maybe little center if Linderbaum gets another ankle sprain. That's where I'm at on that one. That might be my favorite one, to be honest.
Okay. I think that the Ravens, once again, will buck convention, and they will have a rotation at least one of the guard spots. I can't see 2 guard spots because I think that Josh Jones is the clear-cut guard number 3. But I think that maybe he's going to rotate with Andrew Voorhees is my assessment. Straight, nothing to do with performance, more to do with breaking them in, seeing what they have. So when they're talking about we have our 5 offensive linemen set, we got our starting O-line set, that is going to include a left guard rotation in that starting lineup.
Roger Rosengarten will win the starting job at right tackle by week 4.
Jason, are you with Yuri on that one?
I don't think it's bold. I think that sounds about right.
All right. That means you're with him. Mm-hmm. Let's move on to wide receiver. My bold prediction, Tez Walker will outproduce Aguilar in both yards and touchdowns. And I feel like there's a little bit too much confidence placed in Aguilar at this point. And I think Tez Walker will be the one that will end the season as wide receiver 3. And Aguilar will, wander off into the pasture. That's where I'm coming from.
Real quick, Jason, mine is also based off his. I'll take it a step further. I'll take it to the point. I think that Tez Walker will be the de facto wide receiver 2 by week 5.
Wow. Okay. Mine's going to be different. I'm going to show confidence here. And I'm going to say that Rashad Bateman, Zay Flowers, Tez Walker, Nelson Aguilar are going to be the only wide receivers who have more than, we'll say, 8 catches on the year. That's it. We're going to ride with those 4. Those 4 are going to stay relatively healthy. Maybe one's out here or there. Maybe Deontay Hardy or somebody, or Tylan Wallace gets some garbage time. But like for the most part, like we're just going to rely on those 4 guys. They're going to be there. They're going to be ready. They're going to be healthy. We're going to use the tight ends for the rest, and it's pretty much going to be a 4-man show at the wide receiver room, which would be, I think if that happens, that should be seen as a huge plus for the Ravens. That means they're healthy. That means they're being productive. That means they have roles.
Well said, Jason, for sure. Well said. The Ravens wide receiver 4 has averaged almost 400 snaps over the last 5 years. So keep that in mind when people start talking about 12 personnel is all that matters. But are we ready to flip it to defense? Because
Yeah.
we're Ravens fans. Defense is where it's at. Defense, blah, 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 blah. D-line, Travis Jones will play the second most snaps on the defensive line. Breakout year. Let's go.
I like that one. I think Travis Jones plays more snaps than Michael Pierce. I just have a feeling it's not a good one, but like we've gotten a couple of years a really good year out of Michael Pierce, who's had trouble staying healthy throughout his career. So I feel like Travis Jones breakout, Michael Pierce trying to preserve him will open the door for Michael Pierce. My other, I'd say, bold prediction would be that fans are going to be as hype about Broderick Washington this year as they were before last year. I think he was hurt. My instincts tell me he was hurt last year and playing through something because it just didn't look right until the end of the year. So I would say a big bounce back season from Broderick Washington.
Voss, I'll take yours a step further. I believe that Travis Jones not only will have the second most snaps of the interior defensive line. We're not including edge in this, right? Edge is its own thing.
Yeah. That's
okay.
Just do that.
Sacks for Travis Jones this year. I think he and Madubuike combined for the most sacks in the NFL from the interior defensive line.
I love it.
How sweet would that be?
That's the thing about the Ravens. It's hard to project big sack totals from the edge rushers because at least McDonald deployed them as a way to get the interior guys, collapsing the pocket and racking up the cleanup sacks. But we'll see how that goes. Let's go to inside backer. Jason was singing the praises of Trenton Simpson in our first segment, and I will echo that. I believe Trenton Simpson will have more tackles for loss and more sacks than Roquan Smith had last year. Roquan had 5 tackles for loss and 1.5 sacks per Pro Football Reference. And I think Trenton Simpson will blow that total out of the water and probably do better than Patrick Queen did, to be honest. I kind of feel like there's a little parallel between the two. Simpson was probably a superior athlete, the same level of inexperience, but was picked in the 3rd round. And I think Simpson fulfills the promise that Patrick Queen had this season. That's my bold prediction.
There you go. I'm going to build off that. I will say between forced fumbles, interceptions, fumble recoveries, bold would be I think Trenton Simpson gets 5 of them. I would think like 3 would be okay, pretty good year. 4 would be wow, that's something. I'll go 5. I'll go to all the way up to 5. Maybe he has like 3 picks, a couple of forced fumbles, and that's not saying he's not even guaranteed to be playing on 3rd down. I think Zach Orr wants him to play on 3rd down. I think they want to have that same dominant double middle linebacker going on where they can trust both of them. But with all the DBs we were talking about, it would not surprise me if Trenton Simpson comes off the field on 3rd downs for one of these safeties or corners even who can just play next to Roquan in the box in pure passing situations, 3rd and 10, 3rd and 9, where you're not worried about somebody in there who can stop the run. You want another defender in the 2nd level of the zone. So not convinced Trenton Simpson's going to play all 3 downs. I still expect him to produce with turnovers.
Yeah, that I was going to build off that as well. And my prediction was that on 3rd down, Trent Simpson, 3rd and 7 plus, Trent Simpson will not be on the football field. I think it'll be a safety.
I don't know, man. Zach Orr was a 3-down will.
Right.
And he's in DC. So
And we had a lot of success last year against the pass with two linebackers out there. So
I love dime. Like, put it on my tombstone. Dime is the future. But I don't know. They're fading out a little bit. I'd be surprised if or takes over from McDonald and then starts putting the will on the bench on third down after McDonald didn't do it. But we'll see. We'll see. I have a lot of faith in Simpson. I think Simpson can be a better version of Queen coming forward. I really do. So we'll see how it plays out. Let's move on to outside backer. Always the easy bold prediction. He had 5 sacks last year. You can say he's going to double it, get to 10. I wrote that down and I scratched it off, to be honest. So I'm going to probably plant my flag in Malik Ham. And I think Malik Ham plays more snaps than Tavius Robinson and records 4+ sacks. So that'll be my bold prediction for the outside backers.
I don't have one for this one. I have a lot of very much known, which is what I think about everybody, and one completely unknown, which is David Ajabo. So I have no idea what to think Ajabo. I really hope he's healthy enough to be himself, because when he is, he's dangerous. I mean, he's produced in the small time he's been out there. But I think away, small step up. Tavius Robinson, I think that he's a cleanup sack guy, and that's about it. Kyle Van Noy, I think we'll see a similar season from last year. I don't think any of these players are like in line for a giant leap unless you're counting Ajabo. I think they're pretty much what we got. It's what we got.
Yeah, I would say for mine, Malik Harrison. I was too much thinking about that. Me and Boston is Zach Harrison's my guy. Malik Harrison continues to
5-star.
Yeah, 5-star at Ohio State. Malik Harrison continues to earn significant snaps on first and second down on rundowns, and continues to be a very underrated, underappreciated player outside linebacker.
I think Malik's going inside this year. It's just the way the numbers work. But we'll see how it goes. They paid Chris Board. They gave him a guaranteed contract, so he's probably sticking around against my wishes. But let's go to cornerback, and this is a tough position to peg. I mean, you got Brandon Stevens' contract year. He's like the prototypical big-bodied shutdown guy. You got Marlowe, in and out. I love Marlowe. He might be my favorite player on this team, to be honest with you guys, behind Lamar. But it's a tough position to peg. I will. You know what, Yuri? I'm gonna wish you a happy summer solstice. I don't know what Gardner's talking about, but I want to wish you a happy summer solstice. But anyway, Nate Wiggins, 10 pass breakups this year. So that to get 10 pass breakups, you got to have a good bit of playing time, probably 60%, 70%. But that'll be my bold prediction for corners.
I get two kind of bold. I would say Wiggins leads the corners in interceptions. I think that's going to happen. And I don't see a place for Pepe Williams on the roster. You're talking about a slot corner who's undersized, who's been in the league for a couple of years and hasn't played. I think that's a guy they could sneak through to the practice squad, maybe even as a former 4th-round pick who's had problems staying healthy. I look at Ardarius. I look at Arthur Millette. I look at Kyle in the slot. I look at the outside corners. I think Pepe, and then we're probably going to sign, in my opinion, a third safety. I think it's going to be tough for Pepe to make the team.
Yeah, mine is that TJ Tampa will jump Pepe and Jalen Armour-Davis. I think he'll jump him, and I think he will split. I'm going to go a little more aggressive. I think he's going to split snaps with Wiggins at outside corner.
Whoa, okay.
Yeah. Last position, safeties. So I'm a big Marcus Williams fan. I pegged him as a guy the Ravens should sign, and we were having like a huge debate on Twitter about all this kind of stuff. The morning they signed him, and his career high is 4 interceptions with New Orleans, and he had like 3-4, 3-4. Yeah, he's a ball hawk, but not like a Ed Reed ball hawk. But I think he eclipses his career best interceptions this year. I I don't know. I just feel like this is the payoff year for Marcus Williams. So that's my bold prediction at safety.
Okay, mine will be specific and bold. Kyle Hamilton will finish third in Defensive Player of the Year voting, behind 2 guys who get sacks, whoever they may be. It's going to be Kyle Hamilton is the best player this year in the NFL, but it's a sack award. So this guy with 18 sacks finished first, and this guy with 16 sacks finished second. Kyle Hamilton third in Defensive Player of the Year voting.
Yeah, I'll piggyback off of both of you because they're both one. Kyle Hamilton will establish himself as the best defensive player in the NFL. I have no doubt in that in my mind. I'll take it a step further. I think he does win Defensive Player of the Year. I'm such a believer. Voss knows I'm very stingy with the jersey selections, and I have 2 jerseys. I have 2 jerseys of all time. One is Jimmy Smith. The other one's Kyle Hamilton. And the other one I'll say is that not only does Marcus Williams eclipse his interception total, I think he gets 7 or more interceptions this year as a deep safety.
Love it, Yuri. That is some bold stuff. You love length, and who can blame you?
And dome.
Yes.
And
tight ends.
All that. We're going to do the whole thing. And Justin Tucker will. I guess I didn't do special teams, but I'll off the dome, as Jason said. Justin Tucker will have a better conversion percentage beyond 50 this year than he had last year.
How about Jordan Stout makes the Pro Bowl, Justin Tucker doesn't? That'd be bold.
No.
I mean, I'm just, going to throw something out there, bro. Just straight off the top of my head. But I'm looking for Justin Tucker is quietly old. I just hope that he's able to keep up, when it comes to 52, 53 yarders, which is like the old 48, 47 yarders, that he's steady on those and he's hitting, those 50 to 52 yard. When it comes to 57, 58, that's a 50-50 shot. You know what I mean? I'm not talking about them. The low 50s, I want to see him convert those, 80-some percent. Give me a 5 out of 6, which I think is like 86% or something like that. I want Tucker to be more accurate from distance this year, fewer closer calls, and to just extend his run as the greatest kicker of all time. I mean, I'm not down on Tucker. Father Time's undefeated. I want to see him keep this alive and make this last run with Lamar, be one of the better kickers in the game while Lamar's under contract for the next 5 years.
Absolutely. How many special teams tackles does Tucker make this year, upcoming season?
I would say 0.
Gary?
1.
I'm going to say 4. The new kickoff rules, he's going to be coming out like a truck, ready to stick.
I should have said 1. I feel like he gets 1 every year, Yuri. I think you're right.
Yeah, I think he does. My special teams prediction was that the Ravens get paid off in signing Deontay Hardy, and he has not 1, not 2, 3 return touchdowns between punt return and kick return.
Does Tylan Wallace make this team, guys?
Yes.
Probably.
Only because they don't have enough competition to push them off. Just to segue real quick, Jason. I was at the game where Jermaine Lewis ran 2 touchdowns back against the Jets.
I was there. That was the Super Bowl year.
Yeah. In the snow after he lost his stillborn. So we have a long and honorable tradition of kick returners in Baltimore, and I want to keep that going for sure.
Yeah. I've been thinking long and hard about Tylan Wallace's place, though, because I don't think we brought Deontay Hardy in here for no reason at all.
But you got to carry 6. You can't carry 5 receivers. Come on, it's 2024. You can't carry 5 receivers. Who's the 6th?
I don't know. I think that could be determined with Tylen being in a contract year and a bunch of young guys who might be able to play special teams too.
Sean Ryan?
We'll see. We'll see.
You want Sean Ryan over Tylen?
I don't think so. I don't not as a I just wouldn't be surprised if one of the younger guys comes in and they look at him and they see him as a gunner or maybe even a better fit gunner / better cover guy on kickoffs, and they reset the clock. I don't know. I mean, Tylen is a coach's favorite, so I would say Tylen's got the inside path, but I wouldn't be surprised if it's the other way because, like I said, I think Deontay Hardy is clearly on the roster as the 5th guy.
I would agree with that.
He's missed a lot of time. He's missed like the whole entire offseason. But they gave him a guaranteed contract again. So I think he's probably solidified. But who's going to beat out Tylen? You got to carry 6. If they don't carry 6, I feel like they're obsolete. I mean, you got to carry 6 receivers for real.
I would agree with that. Anything else? I feel like that's.
No, Yuri, give us a poignant question, and then let's get the F out of here.
A what question?
Poignant. A good question.
I'd like to ask Yuri a question.
Yes.
Can I pass go and can I collect $200? Just looking at the mustache. Just looking at the mustache. My bad.
May not. Yeah. Poignant question. Will the 2024 Ravens have the same amount of blowouts of other playoff teams this year than they did last year?
I would say no. I think what they did last year was darn near historic. It doesn't mean that they won't be as good or they could win the Super Bowl this year. But what they did to playoff teams last year was you're not going to see that again for a while, I don't think.
The Ravens are less talented this year than they were last year. Losing Clowney,
I feel like that wasn't a good question. Here's another one.
Losing Clowney, losing Darby, losing Beckham. People want to say, oh, they didn't do that much. Okay. But they were talented,
So, Voss, do you have a poignant question? Because I asked about Wallace. Yuri has his, so I feel like it's up to you, man.
Yuri, how much would you pay to have your mustache grow right here?
$1,000.
$1,000. It looks good, bro. It looks better. You look like a Baltimore Oriole. That's a winner right there.
He does look like a Baltimore Oriole. How many outfielders should the Ravens trade for pitchers? That's my pointed question.
You mean the Orioles?
Stowers, Kirkstead. What's the other guy's name? Mayo's like a more of a third baseman. You don't want to trade him. Norby. Come on.
I think. Well, if the Orioles want to win a pennant this year, they're gonna need to say goodbye to a couple of people. That
they need 2 more pitchers. They need 2 more pitchers for sure. Jason?
Norby's an infielder, by the way. He's a second baseman only, pretty much.
Right.
He's not very good defensively, but I think you have to part with one of them. I was bummed out that they didn't see Stowers as an option at left field. It felt like they wanted to keep him away from that and just kind of pigeonhole him into a right fielder. And if that's the case, then you got him, then you got Kirkstad. So I think one of those guys is definitely on the move, even with Santander and Hayes' like future in question. Like I think that one of the right fielders, either Stowers or Kirkstad, will be traded depending on what they need to give up to get who they want.
Well said. Well said. Sorry for the Orioles-Ravens crossover. I just couldn't help it. It's Orioles season, baby. We just took 2 out of 3 of the Yanks in the Bronx. Let's go.
Yeah. So, hey, with that, Jason, appreciate you joining, boss, as always. Until next time, the ever so elusive
From outer space.
the ever so elusive soon. We will see you guys then.
Thank you, guys.